Let's have a serious conversation about the Celtics. Who are the Celtics? The Celtics do everything good. What do I mean by that? The Celtics have a good coach in Brad Stevens. They have a good GM in Danny Ainge. They have star players. They have Jason Tatum. They have Jaylen Brown. They're good defensively. They're okay defensively. They're good. They're okay offensively. I mean, you have those players. You have Kimba on some nights. You have Peyton Pritchard. You know, you have Marcus Smart on the defensive side when he comes back. They do everything good. But that's just it with the Celtics. They do everything good. They don't do anything great. If you take Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum off this team, they are lottery-bound teams. And that is not supposed to be said by the Celtics. The Celtics, by the way, who a lot of people had at least making it to the NBA Finals the last, 2-3 years now. You see, I talked about this last episode. There's a difference between rebuild. Like, at some point, you have to get out of that rebuild stage. That's the problem that we see with the Wizards. That's the problem that we see with the Magic. That's the problem that we see with the Kings. That's the problem, and we'll talk about it a little later, but that's the problem that we see with the Timberwolves. They just can't get out of the rebuild stage. The Celtics are in the same boat, but not the same ship, if that makes sense. Let me say this. They're in the same ocean, but not the same boat. The Celtics have stayed in this player development stage since they brought on Brad Stevens. And Brad Stevens is a great coach when we're talking about player development. Again, nobody thought that Jaylen Brown would be this good. He more than likely will be an all-star this year. People thought that Jason Tatum would be good, but nobody thought Jason Tatum would be this good, on the a borderline superstar, this young and this early in his career. But that's just it. You develop players. The organization, especially since bringing on Brad Stevens, has been incredible developing players. But at some point, you have to move from the player development team to an actual championship contending team. And you can look at you look at the Celtics now and realize they're good, but they're not. Like, think about it. This all stemming from them blowing a 24-point lead and ultimately losing, I think, on Sunday to the Pelicans. A Pelicans team who is horrible on defense. And while you do have Zion Williamson, you do have Brandon Ingram, you do have Lonzo Ball on a good day, they're not that good. That's a team that you should destroy. Yet and still, you build a 24-point lead, and then you ultimately lose a 24-point lead. And the team is 15-15. They sit, sixth in the East right now? Now, that's okay. But we're talking about the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics that a lot of people had at least going to the championship this year, last year, and the year before. Think about it. Let's look at the top teams in the NBA, right? I don't see the Celtics beating the Philadelphia 76ers in a 7-game series. I don't see them beating the Nets in a 7-game series. I don't see them beating, honestly, how good they're playing right now. It'll be a dogfight against the Toronto Raptors in a 7-game series. And let's just say, let's just say they make it to the championship. I don't see them beating the Lakers in a 7-game series. I don't see them beating the Clippers in a 7-game series. I don't see them beating the Denver Nuggets in a 7-game series. I don't see them beating, hell, to be honest with you, and I don't even think they'll make it to the championship. I don't see them beating majority of the teams in a 7-game series. They're great in player development. They will develop the hell out of a player. But I think they've hit their cap. You know what I'm saying? The Celtics cap is beautiful player development. Greatest player development team in the league. But that's only going to get you where? In the second round of the playoffs, maybe? If you're lucky, the Eastern Conference Finals. Jason Tatum is a borderline superstar. Jaylen Brown more than likely should be an all-star this year. Yet and still, we look at this team and all we see is flaws outside of conkers. One flaw, yes, you bring on Tristan Thompson, but Tristan Thompson is not a championship center. Yes, I know he won a championship with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yes, I know he's been to a couple championships, but hell, I'm pretty sure I could have been the starting center for that team if LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love are on that team. So spare me. And the real person that I'm not blaming him, but he does need to take. Let me say this: it's not all his fault. But Kemba Walker needs to take the brunt of this blame. They bring you in. They trade Terry Rozier. They're confident enough in letting go of Gordon Hayward because they have Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have picked up their ends of the bargain, but Kemba Walker has not. Kemba Walker has looked. So not only has he looked inconsistent, but when he's good, he's good. Kemba Walker is a good player, but when he is bad, he is horrible. I think the other night he went like 1 for 12 from the field. Think of it like this. There was a legit argument back when Kemba Walker played for the Hornets. The argument was Kemba Walker is good enough to be the starting point guard on a championship team. In fact, when Kyrie left the Celtics and they brought on Kemba, there was a lot of people, including myself, that thought that Kemba Walker was a better fit for the Celtics and would take the Celtics further than Kyrie was, and ultimately did take them. But the caveat was we were getting the Kemba Walker that we've seen in Charlotte the whole time. I ain't gonna hold you. That's not the Kemba Walker we're seeing. We're seeing a Kemba Walker who can't stay healthy. We're seeing a Kemba Walker we knew Kemba Walker was bad on defense, seeing though his height and everything, but Kemba Walker is god-awful on defense. Kemba Walker is not reliable when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, even though that is his calling card, his offense. So Kemba Walker right now, I'm not saying that it won't get better, but Kemba Walker right now is a liability for the Celtics because they're leaning on him, which that's what they brought him on for. They're leaning on him for more of a leadership offensive role, and he has lacked in both areas. Again, the Celtics do damn near everything good. They're a good defensive team, especially with Marcus Smart coming. They're a good offensive team. I mean, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. They're a good coaching staff. They're a good organization. But good is not going to win you a championship. Good is not going to not going to get you to where ultimately you hope to be, which are champions. Hell, look at the last few champions. The Lakers. That was a great. I mean, you have two great players. Let's say that you have two great players and a good team around them. The Toronto Raptors. You have one great player and a good team around them. Not to mention a team that was built to beat a team, and they did also. I'm not going to talk about the whole injuries and stuff, but yeah. This the Golden State Warriors, a great team. The Cleveland Cavaliers had a great player. I had a couple great players. What I'm saying is, good is going to get you wins. Great is going to get you championships. The Celtics are not a great team. They have a good player who is on the cusp of greatness in Jason Tatum. They have a solid player in Jaylen Brown. They expected Kemba Walker to be a great player. He's not. And there's something to be said that the best compliment, or the best compliment that you can say about the Boston Celtics right now is it is probably one of the greatest teams we've ever seen in NBA history for player development. Like, they developed the hell out of some players. But I challenge you to go back in history, in NBA history or whatever. How many player development teams win a championship without having a superstar top 5 player or acquiring a great player? You can leave in the comments if you want, but I can't. I mean, the closest I can think is maybe Golden State in 2015 when they won. But you had MVP and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala and Harrison Barnes. Like, you know what I mean? So, the Celtics, I look at the Celtics and I don't see a championship team. I see a great player in Jason Tatum. I see a really good player in Jaylen Brown. I see a player that's been probably one of, if not the biggest disappointment this season in Kemba Walker. I see a great player development coach in Brad Stevens, but I don't see a championship team. And honestly, the worst part about it is so does the Celtics. Danny Ainge came out and said the team's not good enough. They're not good. So you have a problem. It's just, can you fix it? And I need to sit down and really think about how to improve the Celtics, but the Celtics today, as currently constructed, is not a championship team. And I understand it's the regular season, and I understand that a 24-point blown lead to the Pelicans in February isn't going to push the needle, but it's different when it just highlights things that have been structurally wrong with the team this entire year. So that's the Celtics.